And we are live. This is Ty K, the Flip Man, setting up tonight's Flippinar before we get started here in just a minute. I think we're going to be able to be on time. Tonight. Yes. So if you already made it here, welcome aboard. Kay Davis, if you can hear me, please let me know. If you received a text message, welcome aboard. Also, but again, if you received a text message, welcome aboard. We're about to get started here. Just trying to make sure I'm where I can monitor things. And for the person that complained last week, as I mentioned, obviously you've never done anything on YouTube Live, and I'm just a one-man gang trying to. I'm just trying to put this info out here, so. So don't want to listen to myself here, but anyway, but we're getting it together. I'm getting to it. So boom, I think we're ready to rock and roll. We already have a few people here. So again, welcome everyone. I'm loud and clear, so we're going to get this thing on the road here. And let me hit record. Welcome to this week's Flippinar. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man. If you've never been to one of my Flippinars before, welcome aboard. Hopefully you will learn something on tonight's topic that I'll go ahead and display. But again, if you received a text message, obviously you made it this far, you're in the right place. So somebody said a money green shirt. Hey, that's a good one. I didn't think about that, but that's what's up though. Okay, and let me get ready to share my screen here though, so we can go on and get into it and make this one happen. So I'm assuming you all can see my screen here, and you see tonight's topic. Obviously, at the end of the Flippinar, we will have a question and answer period. And if you got a deal you want me to analyze, I definitely will do that. So it will give you an opportunity to let me analyze it. So hopefully you have enough information that I can actually analyze the deal. One of my friends texted me saying she's watching me. That's funny. But anyway, so, but yeah, so we're going to get it started. So tonight's topic, should I start as a bird dog or wholesaler? This is a topic that I've done a video on before. But it was years ago. I was updating some of my videos, and I was trying to make a decision on stuff that I would leave up and stuff that I would take down. But mainly what I was doing is updating the thumbnails, the little picture that you see before you click on the video, just to clean it up, make it look a little bit more crisp and uniform. So I came across several topics that I haven't talked about since I started doing this back in 2008. And obviously they have some views on it, but so if you see something that I've done a few years ago and it's a new video, it's just more or less, I'm smarter than I was back then. I'm more experienced than I was back then. Technology has changed to add benefits. So you may run into this video from 5 or 6 years ago. So hey, take it in, see where my mind was at then versus now. And so, but this is an actual Flippinar, so it's going to be long and more informed with other things. But this is one of the topics that I get a lot of questions on. So a lot of topics I come up with, because I think I run out of information to say, but people ask questions and give me on when they comment on actual videos, and they help me come up with topics, and hopefully they're informative to you all. So I see a lot of people already in the chat room. I really appreciate it. A few people watching already. So we'll get started here. Should I start as a wholesaler? Should I start as a bird dog or wholesaler? Okay, now before I get into that, just a disclaimer. Most people know they're not going to make money if you don't do anything. I just had to get that out of the way. I still have this building, and man, you guys are unbelievable. Gotten a lot of good responses. Keep doing what you're doing. It's still available on a weekend, on a week total in as far as making this particular property available. Got some really good feedback on some of the buyers. Some people are sending over other wholesalers, and sometimes you don't know or whatever. We can sort of weed those out. And if you just want to follow up on someone you send over, just text me or even call me if need be, and I'll let you know, because we're keeping track of everyone that we're contacting. But keep doing what you're doing, guys. It's still available. So that $30K, that $30,000 fee is still on the hook for whoever provides a buyer for us. I was really doing some serious negotiations with the buyer today. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off because of the due diligence period that they want. And so I don't know, so but I'm letting you know to keep doing what you're doing because it's still available. But this is a tremendous opportunity to make a ton of money on a piece of real estate just for supplying a name. It doesn't get into that. That's the power of real estate, but more so the power of the internet and being able to reach or use this following that I have, which I appreciate everyone that follows what I have to say, subscribe to my channel and all that stuff. But this was one of my goals whenever I started to put out the free content that I did, to gain the following I did. Even though I make a little money off of this stuff, don't get me wrong, but doing deals is what I do. This Flippinar and all this stuff, this is a hobby that I'm fortunate enough to make a little money off of. But the goal was that I knew at some point I was going to get into commercial real estate, and I wanted to be able to use the internet of people that follow me. And I had no idea it would be this many at this point to reach out and do things, or reach out to people that I don't know everyone that and I'm not going to have the resources of many versus just me. So we're at that point. So I'm going to present more opportunities like this as they come available, and stuff that I can't personally move myself. I'll put it out there, for help from individuals. So again, it's still available. Keep promoting it. Apartmentsforsale.net. As I mentioned in the last week, I'm not going to disclose the location because you all the guys are so good. People just start showing up on the property, and we just can't have that. So, but it's been working fine the way we've been doing it. If you supply a buyer, you're going to get paid. If you want me to sign something, send it over. I'll take a look at it or whatever. But Hey, keep doing what you're doing. You know, more will come, but this is one of the unique opportunities because of the amount of money that we're willing to pay on this particular deal. All right. Obviously, you need to subscribe to the channel. Probably if you're here, you're already subscribed. 200 plus videos are available to anyone. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. Just tapping the little bell after you subscribe. That'll give you the notifications where when I upload new videos, you will be alerted. And when I go live on YouTube, you will be alerted. So please do that. Follow me on Instagram, flipman.net. Follow me on Twitter, The Flipman. And again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You see my phone number here if you want to access, you want information about the courses and coaching that I offer. You can call or text me, or you can just go to flipman.net. So click that off. You want a copy of the free contract that I offer? Text the word contract to 313131. Don't text me, text the word contract to 313131. That's 313131. It's the contract I still use today. Made an offer. Well, it's not an offer. We've already agreed to a private email. The seller today with this exact same contract being used all over the country. Like it's a common question that I give, but I have tons of videos. Well, I have enough videos on my contract that it shows you how to fill it out for the seller and the actual buyer. People want it, I will deliver it. If you want me to come to your city, coach you directly, I do offer it. Call or text me 205-492-3425 for pricing. If you want to get into commercial and or apartments, I do offer it. Flipthisbuilding.com. You can do the same deal that we're doing here on this 346 unit apartment building. You see what the price is. Put that under contract, no money down. $8 million. Put it on the contract, no money down. So low competition. You can do it sitting at home and from your laptop. Please excuse the phone. Sea of opportunity because you can target the entire country. No cash or credit needed. Big fat paydays. Flipthisbuilding.com. My goal here tonight, if you don't know anything about real estate or you may be experienced, is to introduce you to the wonderful world of wholesaling and wholesaling houses, which we're going to get into bird dog and wholesaling. But let me define wholesaling. All right, what is wholesaling? Wholesaling is a form of flipping houses, except the time frame is much shorter and no repairs are made to the house before the property is purchased or sold. A wholesaler enters a purchase and sales agreement with a seller and then assigns the contract to a cash buyer for a hefty assignment fee. Here's an example. You have a house that in excellent condition is worth $100,000 fixed up. Okay, so that's basically saying what would the house appraise for in excellent condition. So in this example, see the house over here to the right, but we'll say $100,000. For whatever reason, you have a motivated seller, you can get that property under contract for $30,000. All right, and some reason why would someone do that? Well, may have been a death in the family, may have lost their job, tired of being a landlord, divorce, may have some medical bills that they can't afford, but they have a property that they can liquidate quickly. There are a lot of reasons someone can be motivated to needs too many repairs, may be motivated to sell a property cheap. So your job is to find those individuals and negotiate those deals. That's what your daily job is. So we have the property on the contract for $30,000. So once you place it on the contract, so it's now time to find a cash buyer for that property. So you put it on you find a buyer. Well, you advertise the buyer at you advertise it at a price to your buyers or buyers list or whatever. So you advertise it at a price of $45,000, which you have it on the contract for $30,000. One buyer steps forward and says, hey, I will pay $41,000 for it. All right, so now you have a contract with your buyer. So you have contract A with your seller for $30,000, contract B with your buyer for $41,000. So when you go to close on it, the seller receives their $30,000 as agreed upon, and you get the difference between the two contracts, which is $11,000. That's a wholesale transaction. So you walk away from the closing table with 11 grand. You know, that in most cases that changes most people's situation and change it quickly as far as what they could possibly do in the future by just duplicating the actual process. So is this something that you should be doing? Well, I have a couple of examples here from students, and these are actual videos that you can access on my YouTube channel of this interview of this particular, well, he's a YouTube subscriber. He wasn't an actual student, which is more intriguing to me because he just followed the video that I beat down your throat every week that you could take advantage of if you can't afford me. So he took advantage of the video. And so basically he did direct mail and bandit signs. I think the lead, you can watch the video, I think it came from direct mail out in California, where they say you can't wholesale because the houses are so expensive. But anyway, he put the property on the contract with a $10 earnings money in California. Okay, at the end of the day, I think it took less than 30 days for him to close the deal, and he made $21,500. I think he had to split it with a partner, but the money was still there. So if you just simply look at return on investment, which is ROI, it was over 200,000%. That's a ridiculous amount. If you told someone that's in the financial world, they wouldn't believe you. They wouldn't believe you. So another example was this was an actual student in Baltimore, and he put a property on the contract for $1 in earnest money. As a matter of fact, when he mentioned the $1 earnest money, the seller started to pull out $1. So it's no big deal in a lot of cases, not always. So he found this deal by putting out bandit signs. All right, he had to split this deal with a partner also. I think a guy brought a buyer to the table for him, but it was a $32,000 take. If you do the return on investment with the actual investment was $1 and the return was $32,000, that's over 3 million%. You know, so it's ridiculous, really not even believable, but the numbers are what they are. Now, people can buy, fix, and flip, and you can get a great return in normal practices, but the risk involved and actually tying up in the time frame that it takes to close, which over here in the bottom left, here you see where I have a small writing here that someone invests $50,000 in a deal. And what I mean by that is that the buy and the repair costs, and maybe even paying a wholesaler, they have a total of $50,000 invested in the property, and they sell the property, we'll say within 90 to 120 days, and they sell it at $80,000. So that's a $30,000 profit. The return on investment is 60% versus over 3 million%. And you don't have anything in risk, you know, so but your time. But anyway, so is this something you should be doing? So those are two examples. So who am I, and how did I get to this point and get to this point of even being able to have enough knowledge to have you here tonight to talk to me? So I'm an entrepreneur first, and real estate is one of the couple of ways I've made any real money. And I'm not one of these that has always been an entrepreneur. As a child, I was actually watching something earlier before I was eating dinner. This guy that I like to follow online, and he was had lemonade stands and all this stuff even before, middle school, so, but I wasn't one of those kids. Only thing I cared about was football, basketball, and being mannish, as they used to say, with little girls. But the bug went on for me in college, in my early 20s. And one of the first things that I ventured out on was I had the brilliant idea of taking some of my student loan money and starting a used car lot, an auto dealership. I was going to become a millionaire that way. Got a dealer's license, not even sure how I discovered how to do that. I'm not sure what we did before the internet. I guess we had encyclopedias and all this stuff, but I got a dealer's license, and then I started going to actual dealers auctions and buying cars. The cars where they have hundreds of cars out there at the auction, and it could be a 10 or 15-year-old car, and it would look brand new, but it'll be a piece of junk. So if you're not mechanically inclined, you would get your hat handed to you, and that's exactly what happened to me. And so I was out of that business within a year. I used to love it though, going out to the auctions I think it used to be on a Wednesday or Thursday, and walking around and trying to find a deal, So again, you didn't have the internet. You used to have this little yellow, I think it was an NADA book that you used to pull out to see what the values of cars would be and what you could possibly sell them for retail. So anyway, lost my hat in that, got out of that. Fast forward to 95, went to Black Beach weekend in Daytona. My brother, two of my cousins, and one of my brother's friends, we loaded up in a rental Camry and drove to Daytona from Mobile, Alabama. And so while we're down there, one of my brother's friends drove up from Orlando, and he was telling us about, he had started a mobile car wash business, and he was doing six figures in that business. So, my bulb went off, my entrepreneur bulb went off, and I couldn't wait till I got back to Birmingham. And I bought a baby blue passenger van where the seats were taken out already, a 100-gallon water tank, and a pressure washer. And I was in business. I'm assigned to promote myself when I was on location, and I was in business. So I started going to beauty salons and barbershops, place of employment of people that I knew, and we were doing it. My cousin and a childhood friend, we were out there getting it. The spring and summer were great, but once October hit, maybe even late September, I'm not sure, but when we had that first cold morning, what's cold for us here in the South, when you wake up, it's 40 degrees, cold water at 60 degrees. And it just doesn't mix with me. So I knew I couldn't do that business. So I was out of that business. So I stumbled around with some network marketing, multi-level marketing stuff for a few years. And fast forward to 2002, a friend of mine and his now wife, actually I talked to him today, lives in Memphis, Tennessee now. A friend of mine, and he and his wife were going to school to become real estate agents. And the guy that normally taught the class, he didn't talk about being an agent. He talked about, the guy that normally taught the class was absent, and the guy that substituted for him didn't talk about being an agent. He talked about investing in real estate and creative ways of investing in real estate with no money down. So my friend wasn't familiar with any of that, so he tried to relay some of the information to me because he knew how my mind worked or whatever. So that was October of 2002. I didn't act upon it then. Fast forward to December 27th, a couple of days after Christmas, I was at my mom's house waiting up early, waiting on her to prepare breakfast. And I was watching TV, and I caught a couple of Carlton Sheets, no money down infomercials. And so I was just trying to make sure people were still here. So I was watching one of his infomercials, which the infomercials didn't tell you anything, but hey, I make this much money, I make this much money, blah, blah, blah. But I caught it halfway through. So I went up the dial, found it from beginning to end. Same thing, didn't really tell you anything. But I thought to myself afterwards, he can't be lying about all of this. And so I waited till I got back to Birmingham. My mom didn't have internet back then. And I went to this entrepreneur message board that I used to frequent and asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? One person replied, and they was like, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand's course is better. And so I did a search for Ron, found his website, and his course was $1,500. Bad as I wanted to buy it, pull the trigger on it, didn't know anything, never heard his name before, but that was just out of the question at that time. So they had a condensed version of the course for $69.99 and was shipping $80. So I ordered that. It came in cassette tape form. I listened to it, And all it did was a teaser to let me know, hey, this is something that I can do. And so made up in my mind, if I had to get a second job, that's what I was going to do to save that $1,500. A couple of days later, I thought about eBay and did a search on Ron's name, and a couple of auctions were on his courses, exact courses they had on his website. And I bid it on an auction, lost the auction, and the guy contacted me that was running the auction and asked me, did I want a bootleg copy of the course? You could do that back then, I guess, with eBay. The seller could contact bidders through email. And so we agreed upon $400. It still was a sacrifice, something didn't get paid, I'm sure. But I felt there was something that I needed to do. I was right. Best $400 I've ever spent. I don't know if I'll make another investment in the remaining years of my life to pay off the way that $400 has paid off over the years. And got the course, and it was a huge package, a wealth of knowledge on wholesaling, on lease options, subject to retailing, which is buy, fix, and flip, which is flipping, I guess you would say. I think another module called for sale by owner. And it took me about 3 weeks to go through all that. I was waking up in the morning, listening to it before I go to work on my split shift time that I had. And then when I got home until I went to bed, it took me about 3 weeks to go through it all. I was on information overload. I went from having a glass of water to having a pond of water to drink out of, as far as comparing my knowledge of real estate to after going through that information. So I really didn't know what direction to go in. But out of all of that, if I didn't get anything else, if I didn't get anything out of it, I was attracted to wholesaling because it fits my personality, and somewhat lease options. Also, I got out of it that I didn't have, it wasn't cold hard sales, that I could actually put out bad signs and people would call me, and either the numbers would work or they didn't. Or if they didn't work next, with normally most people to call you, the numbers are not going to work. So purchased some bandit signs. Had to wait another time till I got paid. Spent $250 on 50 signs, which is a very expensive. Even back then, that's expensive for only 50 signs, but I didn't know any better. So I ordered those, picked those up on a Friday and started putting them out on a Sunday morning. That Monday, the very first 2 calls that I received were deals. One of them was a lease option opportunity, and the other one was a wholesale opportunity. The lease option opportunity should have actually put me out of the business just because of the way it went down. So this is what happened. Seller called me. His mom had passed. He inherited the house, but the house still had a mortgage on it. He didn't live in the house. The house he lived in had a mortgage, so he couldn't afford both payments. Plus the house needed some repairs. Obviously, he wanted to sell the house, but he owed too much for it to be a wholesale deal. I did at least know that much at that time. So I explained how a lease option works, that I would take over the payments, put a tenant buyer in the property, and that's what's in it for him. The payments will be made each month, and it'll prevent that from, I guess, ruining his mama's credit, because it was actually in his mother's name, but I guess he didn't want that to happen. And within 1 to 3 years, we'll cash him out. He'll be settled of the debt. And the way I would make my money is that I would make the payment, but I would put a tenant buyer in there to pay tenant buyer in the property that will pay a couple $100 over the mortgage, and they would give me a non-refundable down payment that I would keep 100% of it. Okay, so we were clear on that. Advertised the property. This lady stepped forward, got a few calls, but this lady stepped forward, said she wanted it, and she needs somewhere for her kids to stay. She wanted them to be in a house. $5,000 was the deposit that she gave me. Sitting in a O'Charlie's on Parkway East, and it's now Mexican restaurant. I always have to say that because I know people in Birmingham will be watching this. There's no O'Charlie's on Parkway East. It used to be. Gave me $5,100 bills in my hand. As I mentioned before, I could have stopped then because I had failed at so many other businesses that I really could have stopped then. This stuff works. Okay, so the house needed some repairs. So the guy that owned the house, he was quote unquote a handyman. And so trying to create a win-win, I said, let him do the repair. I recommended to her, let him do the repair because she wanted a few things done before she moved into the house. He was happy to get to work. Also, the seller wanted to refinance his house to lower his payment. A friend of mine, I was still working at Bell South at that time, which is now AT&T. He did mortgages on the side. So creating another win-win for my coworker and the actual seller, I offered, to, put them together. So that was gonna work out. So I told my friend I had found a buyer, a tenant buyer, and I meant she had already gave me $5,000. So just in conversation, my friend mentioned, hey, Ty already had someone for the house that's working out. The lady's already giving him $5,000. What did he tell him that for? I guess he was messed, he was a little messed up on money or whatever, and he went crazy because he thought he should have gotten at least half of that money, if not all of it. So when he was supposed to meet the lady over to discuss the repairs at the house, he came over there in a whirlwind. He said, get off his property. Tyrone did not own it, and he was going to call the police. So quite naturally, the lady thought she had been scammed. She called me crying. I let her know, you haven't been scammed. Where are you now? I will bring you your money. I had already spent $700 of it. And at that time, I wasn't making money. I could replace $700. I'm not sure how I came up with it. I don't remember. It's been 14 years ago. But I came up with it and met her and gave her her money. Called the seller to give him a piece of my mind. He was glad to give me a piece of his. Long story short, I found out he was a preacher through my friend. So I made a smart comment about, I feel sorry for the people that are following you if you're a pastor, blah, blah, blah. And he made the comment after I said that, if I ever see you, it won't be pretty or something to that degree. So that deal blew up in my face and I could have given up then. Now this stuff doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. So, but I had the other opportunity, which there was two sisters that mom had passed. Like a lot of people, we're not gonna sell mom's house. We got too many members here, blah, blah, blah. We'll rent it out or whatever. So they tried that, renting out to relatives, maybe friends or whatever for a few years. And after not getting paid, having to repair the property, they were tired landlords, as I often speak about. They were very motivated to sell. They called me, we agreed upon $20,000. I'm not even sure how I knew that that was a number that would work, but I was comfortable with that. And so, damn, I forgot to do it again. I said I was going to show you all my 1985, well, it wasn't going to be that one, but a picture of the 1985 Toyota Celica that I used to have. I may have a picture somewhere, but anyway, so I showed up in my 85 Celica, and they thought I actually had the money with me. That's how eager they were, I guess, unfamiliar with the process of real estate. I told them, no, I don't have the $20,000 with me. And I told them it was a process. And so they signed a contract, advertised the property in the newspaper, which is a huge mistake now, but that was, we're talking 14 years ago at the date of this video. And I got a call from a real estate agent, and he said he had a cash buyer that buys in that area. And I explained, my position that I was wholesaling it and what I had it on the contract for, just green, not knowing. So the realtor, being greedy as they will be, he said he wanted half of that, the difference between the 25,000 and the 20,000, he'll make the deal happen. So I agreed to do that. So I met them in shopping center. They gave me $500 earnest money, and we closed it in 10 days. Boom, that was my first transaction, $2,500. The sellers were extremely happy for me. How much did you get, Taylor? Like that, they were happy for me. I did what I said I would. They didn't care where the money came from. They got their 20K, 20 grand, their 20,000. The 2,500 I got, they were happy that I received it. Most, people talk about double close, I want to hire them. It just doesn't work like everybody's happy on closing day. Now, obviously, you're going to have some fools out there that exists, but not enough to worry about. Trust me, it's just not. It just doesn't work that way. Anyway, so close that first deal. Guys, I'm no smarter than you are. Procrastinator, not organized, failed at a lot of businesses, grew up in a small town, less than 1,000 people, but took action. I got the information. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I took action. That's the great thing about wholesaling. I could have gotten embarrassed like I did with the lease option opportunity, but it really didn't cost me anything. But, my time, I got plenty of that, at least I think I do, right? Well, yeah, I didn't have any money. Normally, the way it works, you don't have money, you got time. It normally works that way, normally. And so, anyway, that was my actual first deal. So what I discovered that you don't have to do it the hard way that most of us think that we have to do it at, and the way we have to do it, because most people think, see, real estate was never even a consideration for me because I thought you needed tons of money to start or a real estate license. I wasn't interested in the license I knew I didn't have any money. Then even after some people get the knowledge, you still don't think you figured it all out. You don't have to get it all. You need to understand the power of a contract, what the values are, and take action, and understand that there's a hard way of doing it and an easier way of doing it. If you look for deals, you're gonna have to have a lot of patience, organization, and being persistence. If you do a proper job of marketing yourself, the deal is just a numbers game at that point. The deal will come your way if you do a proper job of marketing. All right. I'm not a book reader, but I'm anyone happy to post in my comments or whatever. But normally most books are upsells. Not hating on them, just telling you what it is, what it is. Obviously, you if you have a job, you may not like your job or the income that it produces or a combination of both. I didn't hate my job. I was appreciative of it, but I just wanted more. Taking pointless business classes, that describes me to the T. Most colleges, now I guess you go to Stanford or somewhere like that, they don't teach you how to be entrepreneurs in most cases. They teach you how to get a gig, and nothing is wrong with that. Everybody has their place. In order for this capitalistic, this is my definition of it, and I hope it makes sense. In order for this capitalist society that we live in works well, you have to have more Indians, which are workers, buyers more so, than chiefs, which are the sellers and the business owners, the people that are, own the products and services that we all buy, obviously. But you got to have many more Indians. So, again, I appreciated my job and I wasn't unhappy with it. It's just I wanted more. And I knew it couldn't provide that more. Going to seminars, man, I get so many people that contact me that say, hey, I just went to this seminar, 3-day seminar, blah, blah, blah. And I guess to toot my own horn, I watched your video to learn more than what I learned in those 3 days. And I've only watched 10 of your videos, It is what it is. I was going to seminars and I was doing deals. I never paid for a seminar. I was just going to the free information. I didn't have to know what the meats and guts of everything, because I was already doing. I knew what they were talking about. When I was going to a seminar, I was only looking for other ways to find deals if I could pick up a tip or two in their free information or whatever. And normally I couldn't, so I would stop doing that. And then a lot of people call me or contact me, and I can tell them immediately, oh, you're knowledgeable enough to do deals. So you're on information overload, and then you're taking information from a lot of different sources, and you should discover from a lot of, try to do your research from a lot of different sources to back up this or that or answer this question or that, but not to the point where it makes you confused. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, if you're confused about it, you need to lock in on somebody or somebody's information. I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be me. Obviously, I want it to be me, but you have to lock in at some point in order to make sense of it. Then, more importantly, taking action. So, with all that being said, we're going to get to why you are here. Should I start as a bird dog or wholesaler? Should I start as a bird dog or wholesaler? Okay. Now, these are going to seem very similar. You know what? Bird dogging, wholesaling, and being a real estate agent, they're like they're all half brothers and sisters. Maybe I got the same dad or the same mom or whatever. They are related, but they're different. They grew up in different households, but they have something in common. So that's why when you try to explain wholesaling to a real estate agent or to an attorney or to a title company that has never heard of it, that's why a lot of times they're going to say it's illegal, especially wholesaling. Now, bird dog actually creeps up on the gray area a little more because you're not binding yourself or you don't have a principal interest in a deal, so it could get in the gray area there. But the wholesaling is clear. Once you put that contract on it, you're a part of the deal. So that's what makes it legal, not illegal, legal. And you're not acting as a real estate agent, even though it has the characteristics of what an agent does, but you're not. You're just taking advantage of the laws that are on the books. So what is a bird dog? So I pulled this definition from online. I think it's pretty clear and concise, so I'll read it. What is a bird dog? A real estate investing term that refers to someone who spends their time trying to locate properties with substantial investment potential. Usually, the intent is to find properties that are distressed and sell it at a discount that can be repaired or remodeled and sold for a sizable profit. Okay, that sounds a lot like wholesaling, doesn't it? Which we'll get into it, but it sounds like a lot like wholesaling. All right, so that's the actual definition. All right, there are two types of bird dogs. And I guess the bird dog can do both. It's a bird dog that tries to find great deals, and then the bird dogs that try to find buyers. And most people think of a bird dog in the sense that you find deals. But just like the $30,000 fee that we're offering on the apartments, that's the flip side of it. We need people to find buyers, a buyer for that property or a group or entity for that particular property. So those are the two types of bird dogs. Either gonna find a deal or you're gonna find a buyer. Normally that's how it works, and obviously you want to be compensated for your efforts. What's expected of a bird dog? Now, I wouldn't want a bird dog. I guess you could do it a couple of ways because some people will pay bird dogs just to find a list of vacant houses. I normally do it. I really don't like that, but I guess you can work because what they'll do, I've seen people, they'll pay maybe like $5 for every vacant house that you locate for them, and that's all you do. But for the sake of what I'm talking about here, what I think is expected of a bird dog is, number one, they have to know what is a deal for a particular area, condition of the property, and so on. They really have to know how to negotiate a deal because whatever buyers they're supplying, they got to know what they're willing to pay. So they have to be able to negotiate, and then obviously provide the owner's contact information. That's what is expected from a bird dog. Number one, they have to know what is a deal, negotiate the deal, and provide the owner's contact. All right. Bird dog fees. Now, this can be more, can be less, you know what I'm saying? But generally, this is what is expected, and anything can be negotiated. For houses, $500 to $1,000 normally. All right. For small multifamily, $1,000 to $2,500. For commercial, $2,500 and up. And there's really no limit on that, because that's the 30K basically that we're offering. So, but the price that we're dealing in justifies that with no issue. If a buyer is provided, paid after closing in most cases. Now, as I explained before, some people will pay for the vacant houses. They'll pay the $5 once they verify that the house is vacant or whatever. They'll pay the $5 per house. But in most cases, you're talking about the $500, $1,000, $1,025, $2,500 is paid after closing in most cases. Anything is negotiable, but most buyers want to go through the process because the title might not be clear. You pay somebody $1,000 and the title's not clear. The deal may have been great, but if you can't produce a clear title, the buyer doesn't have an opportunity to make money. So that's why it has to happen after closing in most cases. All right, so how is this similar to wholesaling? So what does a wholesaler do? A wholesaler finds deals. He finds buyers. He knows what's a deal. He negotiates the deal, and obviously he has the owner contact information to be able to do all of this as far as negotiations. And doesn't that sound like something else that we just got through talking about? That's the same thing that a bird dog does. What's the difference? The wholesaler places it under contract. He gets paid at closing as the bird dog does, but there's no limit on the fees or your pay as a wholesaler. So you have limits as a bird dog in most cases. But the only thing that the wholesaler did that was different than the bird dog, the wholesaler actually put in the contract. That's the difference. That's the only difference. If a bird dog does it the way that I just explained here, the only difference between them and the wholesaler, well, two things, is that the wholesaler places it under contract to get control of the property, and there's no limit on what the wholesaler can make. So why bird dog? I love it now. Again, when you're in the sense of trying to find deals, you're a wholesaler and you control the property. Now, if you're trying to find a buyer for someone, that's a little different, but you still can get in a position where if you have the resource, just like I put it like this, even with the property that we have, the 346 unit apartment building, if a wholesaler stepped to me and they know what they were doing, they could probably put it in the contract. But now I'm going to give them some terms that if they want to deal on them, that's fine. And I don't care what they make off of it, that they can find a buyer for it. But that earnest money, non-refundable underfunded fee that I'm going to ask for, it's probably not going to make sense for it. In which that's a bad example, but I'm just giving you the extreme example. So it's more so catered to the bird dogs that try to find deals and pass on to buyers versus a buyer having a deal and a bird dog supplying a buyer for it. So that's what I mean when I say why bird dog, because you're doing the same thing that a wholesaler does. The only thing, you're not taking that extra step and actually placing the property under contract. So you can capitalize on the entire, as much as you could possibly make, not limited to a fee. So you're here because you're interested in knowing what type of bread is made, earnings potential, and changing your situation. So just doing some conservative numbers, 3 to 5 deals per month. To accomplish that, I highly recommend, these numbers tend to work out, talk to 3 to 5 sellers per day. That's whether through free methods or paid methods. You need to be talking to that many sellers per day. You are a marketer. That's where I like to term myself more so than a wholesaler. When I get up, I think about finding deals more so than finding buyers in most cases, because that's the harder part, as I discussed in my last Flippinar that you can access on my YouTube channel. Oh, I just dropped a video Sunday, 5 mistakes newbies should avoid wholesaling houses. Go Google that, go YouTube and do a search for that. You check out that latest video. Got a good response from it. But let's get into some numbers here. If you did one deal per month, averaging $5,000 to $7,000 per deal, that's 12 deals per year. That's $60,000 to $84,000 per year. 2 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 per deal, 24 deals in a year. That's $120,000 to $168,000 per year. 5 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 per month. Per deal. That's 60 deals a year. That's $300,000 to $420,000 per year. I said all of that. That gives you some raw numbers. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Take advantage of 200 plus free videos. We're about to get into the question and answer period. Turn on the notifications when you subscribe. If you're already here, subscribe to my channel. If you're seeing this video as a replay, please do so. We want a copy of the free contract that I use and have been using for the last 14 plus years as the date of this video. Text the word contract to 313131. Don't text me, text the word contract to 313131. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and also, as I said, subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in the coaching and courses, you know you can call or text me, 205-492-3425. Yes, I will pick up the phone. And you know you can go to flipman.net. You need proof of funds, realpof.com. Same proof of funds I use to lock up the deal that you're marketing. Realpof.com, realpof.com. Go there, submit your phone number. The next page, Keith Yacker will explain what he offers. Boom, take advantage of it. Privatemoneylist.net. That's privatemoneylist.net. The name speaks for itself. So we'll get into the Q&A. I'm glad everyone is stuck around. I think we got some good time here left to do just that. So if you've already asked a question, you can go back and repost it because I had the screen sharing going and I couldn't see what your questions are. All right, so here we go. Raheem F. When you're trying to flip an apartment building, do you put it on a contract before you do the due diligence? Well, the due diligence that I'm going to do is more or less just the numbers, the rent rolls and the profit and loss. And depending if it's local or not, obviously I'll drive by and take a look at it. If not, I'll do as much research through Google Maps as possible. Keith Waters, where does the earnest money come into play? Whenever you place it on the contract, that's where the earnest money comes into play on most real estate transactions. Now I go about it a little differently, which I won't share on this video. That's something I do hold back for the courses. But I go about it a little different on how I structure that, where no matter what it is, that meaning let me just say this, no matter what the price of the property is, it's an option that I could possibly get around. But like anything, just like you can't get the price sometimes that you want, sometimes you can't get the terms you want. So that can be a deal breaker for me if they don't accept the terms on my earnest money. All right, Raheem has another question. Do you think sellers of apartment buildings will accept your LOI if you put the earnest money with deposit after 60 days due diligence period? It'll depend. It will depend. All right. I just basically answered that, Raheem. Do the title come to split the check? I assume you mean they cut the checks. Why Bond, Yvonne? I think that's her name. Yeah, they're the one who actually produces the check for the seller and for you and the seller is the title company or the closing attorney. All right, James says, how long should we have a contract for a sale? Is it 30 to 45 days? On houses, normally I do 30 days. I will do 45. But 30 days is normally more than enough time to move property. Sometimes you have to go back and ask for more time. They either give it to you or they don't. If they don't give it to you, you thank them for their time, and boom, they keep your earnest money and move on. Trina Potts says, does your course include manuals, DVDs, videos, scripts, etc.? My course is online. I do include scripts. It's in video format. Very little written documentation. There's an outline that you can follow things along, but I'm not a reader, so I didn't produce my information in that way. But it's accessible from a smartphone, tablet, PC, wherever, wherever you have internet access. Everett Giles said, does a double close stop the seller from seeing how much you charge for your buyer and vice versa? Well, yeah, it does if that's what you want to do, but it's nothing I really ever concern myself with. I don't worry about that. They know I'm not doing this for free. What's an acceptable amount of money for me to make? They know I'm not doing it for free. So assignments work well for me, but double close works also. Kevin says, are memorandums necessary? I read somewhere how having a memorandum can protect your deal. Yeah, it can. That's going to be up to you. I've never had those issues before, so that's going to be up to you if you want to file one every time, but that's totally going to be up to you. Smart Guy says, should I worry about the seller looking at how much my cut is, worried that they might stop the process? No. It's rare. There's nothing to worry about, man. You're overthinking it. Jim Tim says, what happens if the title company, I guess he says, does a title search and then the seller decides to back out? Who's end up paying the title search fee? Normally what happens is that if you already have a relationship with the title company, they'll just charge you to the game because they know you're gonna produce more business down the road. But sometimes they'll reach out to you for it. But that will happen. If you do this long enough, you'll have sellers that'll back out. But it doesn't happen that often, but it's possible, most definitely. Every Giles says the free course. No, I'm not, I just said free courses, those will be surprises when I offer those again, as far as free courses. Smart Guy says, when you are at the closing table, are all three parties together? Can you explain the closing process, please? Yeah, all three parties will be sitting there. Probably 95% of the closings that I've done, everybody was sitting there. When I walk into the room, the seller may be there first or buyer, whoever, but I just introduced the seller. I introduce the seller to the buyer, and I'll introduce the buyer as my partner on this deal. See, the buyers are going to be cool because you don't want to deal with buyers that don't want you to continue to feed them deals. So they're going to treat you like you're somebody, even though they may not give a rat's about you. But they know you can make them money. So they'll just shake the person's hand and boom, because they want you to continue to feed them deal. So if you got buyers concerned about how much money you make, that's somebody you don't want to deal with. There's too many buyers out there. If you have great deals, that's someone you don't want to deal with. This stuff only works if you have control. It only works well if you have control. All right, someone says, have you ever had anyone to tell, well, Ed Gordon says this, what up, Ed? Have you ever had someone ever to tell you need to have some kind of registration with the SEC in order to solicit or raise money for commercial property? Well, if you're trying to raise money, that's different. Trying to find a buyer those are not the same thing. So when you're trying to raise money, that means you're going to take control over their actual money, and they leaving it up to you to make a decision with it. That's something totally different than just referring a buyer to a particular property. That's not the same thing. James Pollard says, is it best to have a seller and buyer contract just that you use for both deals? Well, yeah, you're going to have separate contracts. You're going to have separate contracts as far as sellers and buyers. Ever says, do you always look for ugly houses when you're looking for a wholesale deal? I don't look for any particular type of house. I just look for a deal. You know, a lot of the houses that I've done, you know, they're livable. They may need some repairs, but they're livable. One of the houses, the house that I emailed over today is livable. She just died back in November. She was living in the house. It does need some repairs, but if you're just looking at it, you wouldn't think it need any repairs. So it doesn't matter. Just look for great deals. It just so happens that a lot of the deals that you do, they do need repair. That's why you can get the price that you can get. The seller doesn't want to fool with it. They deem it as a problem more so than an actual asset. So to answer your question, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be ugly. A deal is a deal. It's just the repairs have to justify the price. Real Kush, I guess that's how it's pronounced. How can I have buyers to use my contract and not there that they are out of town buyers? It doesn't matter about the contract on that side of it. Really doesn't. You know, as long as you're getting the terms that you want or whatever. So I wouldn't get hung up on that. Again, as long as you're getting the terms that you want, I wouldn't get hung up on that at all. Okay, Ed Gordon says, okay, I had someone tell me that the other day. No. Raising money and trying to find a buyer are two different things, man. Carissa Harden. I guess she means bandit signs. She said abundance, but I guess she means bandit signs, BANDIT. Bandit signs, do you put up bandit signs up like in the video as far as letting them stick out like a flag? No, I don't do that anymore. In that sense, I use a different method. I use cable tied with my bandit signs because it gives you so much more flexibility on where you can place signs. But you're talking about the bandit flag video I did several years ago, but it's still up. You know, people can watch it. Just do a search on YouTube for bandit flags. James Pollard said, what I was saying about the contract, could I use the contractor? I'm still not understanding what you mean, James. Just say the entire, the entire question. I'm not sure what you mean. Jim Tim said, do you give the seller a copy of the contract after they sign it? Yes. Normally I email the contract to them. They already have a copy because I've already signed. They just sending me back a signed copy and my name is already there. So they already have a copy. Well, sometimes you have to put it in their hands, but most of the time I'm emailing it to them. Most people, even older people, which is a lot of property on, they have email. So, it's more common that I just email the contract over to them, nowadays. So more questions. While waiting here on questions, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications here on YouTube. If you're seeing this question and answer period from this live webinar, Flippinar. Let me see, we got another question. All right. Smart guy said, when can I treat you to a drink? Well, I don't drink, no, but as you can tell, I eat. So I don't know, man. Just hit me up. Seem like as wholesalers, we're competing against realtors. Well, in a sense, you are, but it's just so many. It depends on the size of the city, obviously, but it's just so many deals out there that technically you are, I guess, because sometimes you'll get a deal that was listed and they couldn't sell it. Seller calls you after it canceled. But and then you'll have deals that you couldn't get rid of, and they go list with a realtor. So I guess so, you know, whatever. But there's enough out there for everybody to make money, and lots of it. All right, yeah, y'all got them pouring in now. Let me see here. All right. All right. Harlem World King, what's up, man? Smart guy says you don't understand how much you help. Yeah, I try, man. I really appreciate you guys even, you know, spending your valuable time, even seeing what I have to say or listen to what I have to say. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Sometimes I think I don't know if it makes sense to people or not, because I just, you know, I may have some notes on the screen or whatever, but it just a line, it'll say find deals, and then I'll just rip off my mind. So, you know, just what I know, you know what I'm saying? Just like saying my name, because I've been doing this stuff so long. So, so hoping I'm not doing too much in stopping, and all this stuff. So I'm not a professional at being live on something or whatever. But, you know, I like this medium because it gives me a chance to interact with people, you know, live or whatever. So, but yeah, I just really appreciate you guys even, you know, showing up and listen to what I have to say, for sure. So let me see here. Ever says, do you ever find wholesale deals on Zillow and sites like that? You know what, Everett? I don't do as much as I should do. Now, I take a different approach on that, is that I don't really look for deals that are for sale. I just target their for rent section and try to turn some of those tired landlords into motivated sellers, or some of those tired landlords are motivated sellers, and I just reach out to them. So it's like you reverse engineer the rental listings. You do the same thing on Craigslist instead of targeting the for sale listings, because the problem you'll run into sometimes if you don't have the right type of buyer is that if it's a property that's already listed on Zillow, especially Zillow, whenever they Google the address, and most buyers are going to do their due diligence, that's the first thing that they do, it's going to pop up, you know, so, and that could cause issues because the person that posted the ad, the Zillow ad, their contact information could be there, and it just could not go well for you as trying to put your deal together. So, so I would reverse engineer the listings as far as the rental part of it. You know, that's just my 2 cents on it. Okay, James, let me see if I got you here. What I meant to say about the contract is, can we use your contract for both the seller and buyer? Yes. I have videos on both of those, on how to fill it out for the seller and how to fill it out for the buyer, right on my YouTube channel, James. Just go there, you'll be able to find them. You know, I changed all the thumbnails. It took me about a week to do it. So you just don't see my ugly mug on the thumbnail. Now you're looking at videos. I think I did a good job of telling you what to do. I mean, what the video is about before you even click on it, outside the title, the actual picture or image that's called a thumbnail. It tells you what the video is about. So it makes it a little easier, user-friendly for people to navigate my channel, and also to find videos, even though they may be a lot older, and you say, hey, this video is 7 years old, but I feel the thumbnail helps you let you know that, hey, this is the question, the answer to the question that I have. So hopefully that helps. You know, I put a little effort into it, a little time, more time than I really like to put into this stuff, but it took me a week to do it, you know, over the 200 plus videos. Can my girl, I think I'm saying her name right, Yvonne, TC, Yvonne, am I saying that right? Can I wholesale if I become a realtor? Yes. It's a different parameters, because you have to let individuals know that that you are a realtor. But yeah, you can wholesale as a realtor. You know, people would tell you can't, but That's basically saying that you can't buy properties for your own personal gain as far as an investor. And I know that's not the case. It's just that when you probably ask a broker or something because you're explaining wholesaling, it sounds just like what you're doing as a realtor, but you're not, because you're entering into an actual agreement with the seller. You're becoming a principal interest within the deal. All right, so I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, baby. Keith Water says, what do I tell people about the property you're trying to sell? You mean the apartments, Keith? Please say yes or no. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Carissa Harden says, are the apartments still for sale with the finder's fee? Carissa, you wasn't on the beginning of this video? I mean, on this Flippinar? No, but yeah, baby, it's still available. They're still available. We need your help. Find us a buyer. Let me do an interview with you, Carissa. You've made that 30 grand. I want to do it with you. Cherie said we had a dealer, a realtor stop our deal today. Please elaborate, Cherise. Please elaborate. Tell us what happened. Kenny said, just turned 18 years old. What suggestions on how to get started if I have no money? Kenny, take advantage of this YouTube channel. Subscribe to my channel and dive into those 200 videos. Study those videos harder than you've studied anything in your 18 years of our educational system that won't give you, out of the 12 plus years that you've been going to high school, elementary, middle school, and kindergarten and preschool. Study those videos and you will be light years ahead of your friends, family members, as far as your knowledge on how to make money in real estate that can change your young life forever. That's my advice to you. And then once you study them, take action. Do not be afraid to make a mistake. You will only just get embarrassed a little bit if you make a mistake. Normally doesn't cost you any money, but you'll learn a valuable lesson from that mistake. And you will become even more educated because it comes from experience more so than some bald-headed guy babbling on some YouTube channel. So educate yourself with these videos and take action. That's my advice to you, Kenny. You're 18. You're ahead of the game, my friend, just by even thinking about doing this. You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. I was 32 years old when I got interested in this. So you're way ahead of the game. Smart guy says, I got you, bro. Let me know when you come down to Miami. Trust you to treat you to some prime 112. I'm not sure what that means, but I was down in Miami last May with my girlfriend, and she grew up there. She doesn't live there now, but she grew up there. So possibly come back this year. I'm pretty sure. If she and I, well, yeah, we'll probably be back down there. So that's what's up. I might be able to do that. Winston Solomon. I went to see a seller today and he didn't like the contingencies in the contract and didn't want to sign it unless I gave him 5K EMD. What should I tell him? Nothing. You don't have a deal. If you have a seller that wants $5,000 in earnest money, the numbers don't work anyway. Motivated sellers do not request $5,000 in earnest money. It just doesn't work that way, man. It just does not work that way. Maybe on commercial, maybe on multifamily, but houses, keep going. Next. That's not even a consideration. All right, Real Kush, is Zillow worth using for deals, or should I just market myself? If you have a deal on the contract and you place it on Zillow, yeah, it works well. You just make sure your seller is not aware of Zillow and is vacant, because it's going to send some traffic to that property if you have a deal. It's powerful, very. But again, the seller needs to not know anything about the internet or Zillow call, and it needs to be vacant, because it will make them aware of it if not. All right. Marcus Miller, man, I appreciate you. You have helped me through my first deal. All right, Marcus, tell us, hey, tell us what happened on the deal, man. How much bread did you make? Harlem World. No, you good. You good, man. I can tell you, good spirit for real. Jim Tim says, smart guy, what's your email? Let me see here. All right, Kevin just said, do I have to show up at closing? Yes, I will. If the buyer and seller are going to be there and you're not going to be there, yeah. Now, if you got it set up where they're meeting at different times, you don't have to show up. I'm following leads in my state, but my leads are 2 hours away. I'm always available to travel, even though I travel for a fat check. I know I will. So Raheem says, what is the average time it takes you to close on an apartment building after you get in the contract? Well, apartments are all over the board because you can get a 10-unit apartment for $120,000, you close it in 2 weeks, for $120,000 and close it in 2 weeks. But the property that I have advertised, it could easily take 60, 90 days to close that deal, easily that. So it just depends. All right, hold on, I went too far. All right, Reginald Brown says, are sites like RealQuest, Agent Pro 24/7 to find tax distressed properties effective in finding deals? Yeah, any way you can find leads of potentially motivated sellers are going to be effective. I hadn't even looked at RealQuest in years, even though I had a video some years back that I used. I think one of the first videos that I did. But there's so many pay-as-you-go sites that you don't really need a membership to access a lot of that information. So, but anyway, you can generate leads, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to roll with it in some form or fashion, and especially what you can afford. But, obviously it needs to produce results in order for you to keep paying for it. But to answer your question, yeah. All right, Pamela says, you've mentioned once before that your second deal was a listed property. How did you market the property to buyers who are already on MLS? It wasn't a listed property. What it was listed when she called me, and it was going into cancellation, that week. And she knew the buyer had the agent recommended that she list the property at $49,000. I think, now I'm going from memory here, I think I got it in the contract for $9,000 and wholesaled it for $14,000. So I made $5,000. She knew that our property was not worth 49, but the greedy realtor, and not all realtors, but most, the greedy realtor overlisted the property. There was no chance she was going to get that. But he was thinking about his pocket. You know what I'm saying? Because 3%, which is 6%, but normally going to get 3% on, we'll just say instead of 49, 50 grand is $1,500 versus on 9,000 is $270. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't listed. It was listed when she called me, and she knew it was expiring. The listing was expiring, and she wanted me to buy a property or whatever, and I did. So, man, that was a good old day. Flip, so a bird dog doesn't need no contract, so they don't get cut out of the picture. I guess you could do one, but it really wouldn't even probably stand up in court for real, because you're acting as a real estate agent in a sense when you actually put something on paper or whatever. So I guess you could, people like, and a couple guys sent me stuff on this apartment building, and I'll look at it and I'll probably sign it, but it's more, show me you got a buyer and I'll sign anything. But for me, just signing something just for the sake of it, I'm out here so much. If I don't pay somebody on this deal and they send me a buyer, it ain't gonna look good. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? I'm just too exposed not to pay somebody. No, I'm not. Everybody ain't out here on the internet blabbing their guts or whatever. So you have to do what you feel comfortable with or whatever. But in reality, I don't even know how much that would even stand up in court in reality, because you're not on the actual purchase and sales agreement. So, but you know, what did I know? I'm not an attorney, so. What time is it? Jim Chen said, what are ways to find deals? Jim, I got tons of videos on that, man, but just a few: bandit signs, direct mail, online, offline, driving for dollars, targeting landlords, bird dogs, which was the title of this particular video. There's several ways you can go through realtors if you know what you're doing. So there's several ways, man. Crystal says, right, I wish I knew all of this when I was 18. I know I did. I don't know if my mind would have been prepared for it though, Crystal. I don't know if I would have, maybe not 18, because I still thought I could make the NBA. I was about 80 pounds lighter than people. But I thought I could still make the NBA then. So I don't think it would have, I would have got it then. But at probably 22, yeah. I would have been all over it. You know, I would have been all over it. All right, smart guy says, what is the worst heated argument that you've been or witnessed at a closing table? What's the heated argument? Well, I have a couple. A seller, Mrs. Brown, this is early in the game for me. Lady had inherited a property, parents died, and she didn't live in the house. The house was 4,600 square feet, and she used it as storage. When you walked in the house, you couldn't even see the floor because she had so many clothes on the floor. You were walking on clothes throughout the entire house. Okay, when she died, the property didn't have, the parents didn't owe anything on it. She went out and got a $25,000 line of credit or something backed by the house and stopped making the payments. The assessed value, the tax value on it, what the county assessed it for was $150,000. So when she initially called me, she wanted $100,000 from it. So I got a really good friend of mine that he could sell dirt to an ant, ice to an Eskimo. So I bought him in. It was early in the game, so I was still, I made a little money or whatever. And he talked it down to 50. We put it under contract. So he had the brilliant idea. We were going to just get it financed for like $120,000 and put 70 in our pocket, which you could sort of do some of that stuff back then or whatever. But we didn't know how to do it. His credit wasn't strong enough to do it. And at that time, mine wasn't either. So we fiddled around with this woman for 6 months with him trying to do that. And I was letting him do it. So I said, man, let me take this deal. I found a buyer in 1 week. We closed it the next week at 80 grand. So we split $30,000, but in that 6 months, he was giving her money because she needed money. And so he was giving her money to pacify her because he was still trying to see if we could get a loan for 120 grand on it or something and get the difference between 50 and 120. And so, but with the agreement that money was going to be subtracted at closing. So when we closed on the property, her check was only like for 8 grand. And my check mine was 15 and his check was, I think like maybe over 20 because of the money he had gave her over the 6 months. But when she had got to the closing table, to the closing before we got there, and the attorney had already showed her what she was getting. See, she was expecting to get $25,000, which would have been the difference, or something close to that, which would have been the difference between what she owed on the property and the $50,000. But she was so far behind on payments and the fees accumulated on it, along with she owed my boy. So she was pissed. So my boy didn't even show up at closing. So I had to deal with her. And the attorney had made a concession for me because I did so many deals with them that they were really closed when we were doing the closing. They were after hours. And so she was pissed. So he made it clear. The attorney said, I need more money than this. You and Eric getting this and that or whatever. And I'm like, Ms. Brown, you know what the deal was. You knew you owed the bank. I mean, whoever lended you the money. and you knew what area is giving you over this time frame. And so I understand all that, but I just need more money than this. And it was on a Friday, right? It was on a Friday. And so the banks were already closed, but I guess she could go to a check cash and play the cash. And the attorney let her know, hey, if I have to go in there and change all this paper, I was willing to actually give her some of my money just to close the deal. If I have to go back in and redo this paperwork, we're gonna close the Monday. That lady was not leaving there without a check. We closed the deal because of her need of money that day. But she really didn't have anything to stand on because she knew what the deal was, or what she just didn't like what we were making. Now that was the one time that a seller had an issue of what I made and my partner made, but we still closed it. We still closed it. And so that's the madness I seen. Then another guy, a seller, was coming to closing, and he broke down. His car broke down about 2 miles from the closing. It was like in July, and you know how hot it gets here. And he called, and he was walking, and so we went and picked him up. One of my friends, actually, I had brought him into the business. He found the deal to his bandit signs, and we were just splitting the deal because I provided a buyer. The buyer was there on time for the closing, but his office was only 5 minutes away. So I need to go back to the office. Just let me know when the seller gets here. So when we get to back, we went and picked the seller up. He was pissed because his car broke down. He was hot and sweaty. So when we get there and the buyer's not there, he said, I don't want to close this. If you guys couldn't have the money here ready to close, I want to close. And we didn't close it. He was pissed at us because his car broke down and we didn't close the deal. So there you go. I don't think I've ever told those stories on online or whatever. So, all right, let me see what else we got. We'll run through a few more of these and we're going to close it up. All right, James, thanks for that comment, man. Thanks. I really appreciate you guys showing up here. Kenny, thank you. That's the 18-year-old, I think. Sharice, same thing Winston said above. We were together, realtor, advised seller to, yeah, okay, yeah, Sharice, that, they see that seller may come back to you, although if they can't move that property. So don't give up on that, because that seller may come back to you guys if you really got a deal and they're motivated, because they probably need money now and they're listening to the agent because the agent is being greedy or whatever, or think, this or that. Jim 10 says, I marketed your 340 units and I get flagged every state I marketed in. What you do, Jim 10, I'm assuming you're talking about Craig and Craigslist. You need to go to Craigslist. Go to YouTube and do a search on how to prevent being flagged on Craigslist, and try to watch the most recent videos, and you'll discover why you're being flagged. It's probably going to be something simple, but you'll discover why you're being flagged. Plus, you may have to do it from a different device than what you're doing it from. So if you're doing it from your laptop, you may have to do it from a phone or something like that, because they have the IP address of your device, whatever you're using. But go to YouTube and do a search for that. Try to look for the most recent video. When I say that, like the last 6 months, the last 12 months, or last year or whatever, and you'll see tons of videos that'll show you, how to prevent that from happening. All right, I'm gonna run through a couple of more of these. We've been running about an hour and a half now. Marcus Mill says, closed on a 3-bedroom for $6,000, ready for rental with tenant in April. Moving in a new furnished central area. He sold for, and I'm keeping it. So, Marcus, you saying you bought a house, or that's what you made is $6,000? All right, so Clinton says, you helped me flip a property to myself. A property that rents for $1,000. I purchased it for $37,000. It's already has a rent. That's what's up, Clemens. All right. Mark says, I'm keeping the rent for $550 a month. Only need paint. Okay, so you bought it to keep it. Okay. James says, how would you contract leasing deal? I mean, I guess you mean lease options. You're probably, in most cases with those, you just go straight to the lease option contract. You don't have to do a purchase and sales agreement on it. You just go straight to the lease purchase contract. Okay. All right. Raheem says, how do you find buyers for apartment buildings? Well, obviously you want to advertise anywhere you can, Craigslist, Facebook, LinkedIn, places like that. But one of the things you can also do is reach out to property management companies. Like on the property that I have here, the 346 units, that property is so large, it's going to attract buyers all over the country. So they don't have to be local to the property. That's one of the reasons why I didn't get out the address or location, because it's not necessary. Some beautiful yours says New York seems like such a hard market. New York, there's so many people there. The opportunity is there. It's just nowhere around it. It's just nowhere around it. But any market, you have to do an effective job of letting people know you exist. Now, every market is different, and that's the most different market out there. And everybody's not selling their properties at full price, because just like anywhere else, you'll have people that inherit properties that don't live in New York. You have people that lose their incomes, their jobs. You have people that get divorced. You have tired landlords. So all that stuff. So those create motivated sellers. Your job, beautiful yours, is an effective job of letting those people know you exist. Now, some of it's just testing, because what may work in Birmingham probably won't work in New York. Because I don't know if you all even can get away with banner signs in the actual boroughs or cities, however you term that. So direct mail can't be prevented though. And you may have to take yours to Facebook and do some Facebook ads. So it's just going to be a little different there than in other markets. And I'm tempted to do this one day, I don't know when, it's just because that's the one animal that I would like to tackle personally, and I don't really have a desire to do that. But one day, within the next, I don't know when, I'm not even gonna quote it here online, but it's gonna happen. I'm talking about me personally in that particular market, and I know nothing about it, but just too many people there. Opportunity, the houses are not free, transactions and just real estate in general, deals are happening. So I talked to a couple of wholesalers that they didn't want to give me that much information, but yeah, they said, yeah, man, we like to keep it that people think that deals can't be done here. I talked to an actual guy that does buy. He said, yeah, most of my wholesalers, I don't. The guy told me he's never paid a wholesaler less than 25 grand in New York. So, but they don't want to provide that much information. I guess they think somebody like me, I just come in and just take. Nah, I ain't got it like that, but I come there and make a living. That's for sure. So it's there, beautiful yours. You just got to let people, it boils down to, are you talking to enough sellers? It's just that simple. Even if, so you can just go landlords endless there. Now, a lot of property managers will be in between you and the landlord, but just like with anywhere else, you're going to have some landlords that are actually going to handle all that stuff themselves. And you just want to be able to talk to that person directly. And from there, it's just a numbers game. And so you're in a city that's 10 times bigger than where I am, minimum, as far as the market. So it's there. I hate to elaborate on that, but that's, they gotta be deals there. Well, I know they are, it's just that's what you have to do, because the checks that I'm accustomed to in houses, you'll laugh at, you know, because of what you can do in New York City. So, but whatever. So I think I spent too much time on that. But anyway. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end it up. We ran a good while, man. You guys asked a lot of questions. Chris says, how do you properly advertise your apartments for sale? You post it in social media. That's a good place. A lot of it is not just advertising. You can just reach out, as I mentioned before, to property management companies, because they want to take on more properties if possible, and they have clients that want more properties. You know, 1031 exchanges, or they call them 1031 services. People that actually set it up for people. Now, it may be a conflict there. I don't think they can actually do that, but you can still reach out to them, make them aware of the property. Again, they're in the business of providing their clients with more properties, and that's how they get paid their commissions. So property managers, 1031 exchanges, services. I don't really want to say brokers, because they're going to want to list if they get into all that stuff. And some property management companies are real estate brokers also, but some of them just only property management companies. So that's what I would do. You can go to a place like GoSection8.com. That's GoSection8.com. And there are a lot of property management companies there listing on the apartments, but there are also a lot of actual owners of properties, and you could target the entire country just by contacting individuals there. So some of it's not just advertising, it's just being proactive, reaching out to those type of individuals that know individuals that want these type of properties, because 346 units, those just don't come along every day. You just got to reach out. It's just not all about advertising. So anyway, guys, we ran a little bit over time, I guess, normally just an hour and a half here. I really appreciate everyone that's come out tonight. Remember, subscribe to the channel. Check out my latest video, 5 mistakes newbies should avoid wholesaling houses. Just do a search there. Make sure you share this video, share any of my videos. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Again, thanks for showing up. I guess we'll be back next week, and we will see you on the flip side.